Dozens of people have been killed in Syria near the predominantly Druze city of Sueda. So to get the breaking details, we're joined by Israeli Druze activist Mansor Ashkar. So my friend, what is happening in Syria?
Well, thanks for inviting me, first of all, and for giving us a voice. I promised my family and relative and friends in Syria that I will do my best to be their voice, and I appreciate you're the first channel that actually reached out to us and asked us to bring it out, because I'm seeing that mainstream media is not reporting it. And that is a heartbreaking, very sad. What's happening in Syria right now is that the government, aligned with the jihadist factions, mostly Bedouins from the area, but now also foreign fighters and invaders are going in, and they just declared a jihad over the Druze. So they're all mounting right now to the mountain of the Druze with tanks, with artillery, with drones, even with Grad, missiles, Russian missiles. These missiles are used to flatten military base, let alone, Druze villages. They don't have bomb shelters or bunkers. Why would you need these missiles? And they're all coming down to the Druze area in order to kill the Druze. Now, they're using a very, very savage but clever tactic. They know if they go up the mountain, they're going to receive heavy resistance from the Druze who are born and raised in these mountains, and they know the terrain very well. So what they do, they start attacking the small villages on the foothill, on the flatland under the mountains, and basically enter a village, slaughtering the men, taking the women, and kidnapping the children. We've seen that happen with the Christians and the Alawite, and doing that to the Druze, and that is forcing the Druze to abandon the mountain and to go on rescue groups in the open fields, which is a great disadvantage for the Druze. They're not equipped to fight against tanks, against heavy artillery, against these dushkas, anti-aircraft that they're using against humans, against the drones, and etc. And that amounted to heavy casualties for the Druze. They managed to go and rescue and bring back several of the kidnapped people, some of them by using the technique of understanding the Arab world. They literally went and kidnapped people from these Bedouin people and told them, give us back our wife and children, we'll give you back yours. But what happened is, the government in Syria have been trying to portray the Druze as terrorists and a national threat for Syria, saying that they're refusing to give away their arms and to submit under the Syrian regime. Now, meanwhile, they're not demanding the radical jihadist factions. You look at their soldiers, half their soldiers have ISIS flags on them and Al-Qaeda flags, and they're just going on. Even with the videos that you see, the tanks going and all this online, you can see it. You see a convoy of jihadists driving by the military, and they're asking them, which faction do you belong to? And they're telling them this and this. So the army in Syria is compiled of these radical jihadist factions, not only from Syria, but also from Chechnya and other places around. They're not demanding them to release their weapons. They're coming and telling the Druze, give us your weapons. Now, the Druze know that story. They've been in this neighborhood. They've been around the block. They know if we give our weapons now, there's nothing that can defend us against the state. And the state right now is run by radical dictators who are literally were in ISIS and Al-Qaeda before. So you can understand the Druze saying, whoa, 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 let's keep it up for a second. Show us that we can trust you. We're not going to give you our weapons. So they've been trying to frame them as terrorists, and now they use this chance to go and attack them. Now, the excuse that happened this time, it all started yesterday. Sueda has been under a siege. For those who don't understand, the majority of the Druze in the world live in Syria. The Druze is a very small community. I'm part of this community in Israel. There's less than 1.5 million of us on planet Earth. And out of this, there's almost 1 million just in Syria. And most of them live in Sueda. That's the mountain. Now, Sueda have a land called Dara, which is controlled by the Bedouins. It's kind of like a Mad Max of the jihadist world. You have factions from all over the world seeing an opportunity to make a living by going plundering, killing, murdering the men and taking their daughters as slaves. And that is, these people, they're not dentists. They don't have pension. They don't go to the bank account. That's how they make their living. They go and kill, plunder, loot, and move to the next part. And that's, how they go with these Bedouin tribes, going all the way back to the days of the prophets and before. That's how these, nomadic tribes used to work and operate. And they're still seeing that as an example. So the Druze in Syria, in Sueda, are kind of stuck right now under a siege. They can't go out. They're running out of food, running out of water. The electricity is controlled. Several occasions, the government came and told them, let us enter so we can make sure that everything's okay. When they enter, they use it for either, suicide attacks or just sabotaging their equipment. So they know they can't trust the government. Now, what happened yesterday, there was an attack on a convoy of vegetables and fruits that is coming to relieve the people, to give them food. So they went and raided that convoy, killed the people, kidnapped a businessman, took his money. The Druze went and rescued him. And there was a clashes between them, and some people died in that clashes, and they used that excuse as an act of terrorism by the Druze for actually trying to defend themselves. And now they're coming in. Now here's where it gets very, very dire, the situation. The Druze have been fighting and calling for help. Israel have promised in the past, hands off the Druze. They told Jawlani and his terrorists. But also there's some interest, which I 100% support as an Israeli. I was a commander in the Israeli army, as in special forces, so I know that system well, and I know that Israel needs to defend itself first. They don't want Jawlani and all these jihadists with the dushkas and tanks and, Grad missiles to come close to the Israeli border. They don't want another threat of October 7th style. So they told them, don't bring anyone southern from Damascus, and also hand off the minorities, which are the Druze there, and many Christians are hiding among the Druze. By the way, there were several Christian brave men who fought and died in this conflict right now, defending their families as well, shoulder to shoulder with the Druze in Syria.
So Mansor, I have so many questions. Let me ask you a few of them, and you can maybe answer the one that you find most interesting and most pressing. Number one, what are your thoughts about the United States removing the terrorist label off of HTS, the head of Syria nowadays? Then there's also reports that, like you said, that Israel has been firing at tanks in Syria. And then also maybe a third question, again, we can't get to all of them. Why does no one seem to care, right? There's this massacre in Syria happening and crickets. Yet if you go down to the other side of Israel, I mean, this is the most well-publicized conflict in maybe human history. Why do you think, I don't even know which one you find most pressing. So I'll give you the microphone because obviously you are an expert in the subject. You are a Druze member. You live in Israel. You're an Israeli. What do you want my friend here watching? What do you want them most to know about all of these crazy storylines?
So what people need to understand, and that's the saying goes, as no Jews, no news. And what is the reason for that? In the world, especially in the liberal media nowadays, mainstream media, and the world of Islam, whenever a piece of news will serve them in making Israel or America look bad, it's all out there. If it doesn't serve, they don't talk about it. Sudan, a genocide. Libya, in Egypt, in Kenya, in the Middle East, in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Syria, they don't talk about it. The Druze are being massacred, they don't talk about it. Why? Because now if they will talk about it, it will make the bad guys look bad. And they don't want that. They want the good guys to look bad. And that is a very important thing to understand. And that's why people need to start trusting news sources like yours, like mine, where they can come and hear directly from the people and not infiltrated by different agendas and propaganda trying to shove it down their throat. Now, regarding the Druze in Syria and America lifting the sanctions. From what I spoke with my friends in Syria, they believe that the attacks right now are a direct result because of the American administration lifting the sanctions and the European government going and around, Macron and others, and shaking hands and hugging with Jawlani. And I didn't explain why. Because they say Jawlani is still a terrorist. He didn't change. What happened is, when the Syrian regime started seeing, and the radical Muslims seeing, that the world is right now acknowledging Syria as an authentic, democracy, a government, they're trying to do good for their people, it's giving the radicals there the feeling that the West is on our side anymore and not on the side of the minorities, not on the side of the Druze, the Christians, the Alawite, and the minorities. And further, Israel even started talking and saying maybe Syria will join the Abraham Accords, and that triggered the feeling among these jihadists that that's it. It's our time. Now we can go and cleanse this country from anyone that is not a Sunnah, and attack them because no one cares about them.
Interesting.
We've seen that happen in Iran as well. The Iranian people, they get excited so many times and they only to get disappointed. People come and promise them promises. We're going to help you. We're going to topple down that regime. And then brave people dare to put their life out there and risk. It says, yes, we don't hate Israel. We don't hate the Christians. We don't hate America. We want a better life. Take down this evil regime. And then what happened? They're taking names. And then the West comes, does a few things, go out, leave it as it is. And then it becomes worse for the people. And the same thing have been happening with the Druze and the minorities there. The Islam has been persecuting them for many, many years. But up until now, they were always trying to say, listen, guys, we're not your enemy. Do you like Israel? No, we don't like Israel. We don't like them. Do you like the Christians? No, we don't like them. We're like you guys. But now they came in and said, the West, help us. Please come and save. So the West said, yes, we're going to come and help you. Israel said, hand off the Druze. And they exposed themselves. And now these jihadists are using that excuse. That's it. We need to exterminate them. They're not with us. So there is a direct correlation between the West maybe sacrificing the minorities in the false premise and hope that they can have peace with a radical jihadist regime. Now, let me say that to the West and people that are watching right now. The same people that are murdering and butchering the Druze and the Christians today, they will not have mercy on the Jews tomorrow. They will not have mercy on Americans. Don't you dare to think that this is going to be better. If they had the chance, they'll kill you as well. And that you understand that. You cannot have peace with this kind of mentality. They need to prove otherwise before you can come and say you are not a terrorist.
So Mansor, your insight is incredible. You obviously are talking to people on the ground, so I very much appreciate you giving us the most up-to-date breaking news report. But as for now, Mansor, thank you so much for your time, my friend.
Thank you so much. God bless.